Tyler, in the previous video, we talked about importance of connection, networking, even in the field of business. Nowadays, everything is about who do I trust? Who do I know in the market before even going out? Can you give us some tips on how can job seekers or even entrepreneurs can use that will help them in their journey?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so networking is a great topic because just to give you some context, I remember taking a business class in high school. This was about maybe sophomore year of high school, and they basically told us to set up a LinkedIn account. And this is when I got exposed to networking because I was a LinkedIn addict. I loved my LinkedIn account, and I would anytime I met someone new, it's like, hey. Are you on LinkedIn? Would love
Yeah.
to connect. I wanted to get above that 500 connection mark when I first started. And that kind of stuck with me. And I really didn't understand the importance of relationships until later in life. But I did know that I love to meet people and I did love to connect with people. And I'll share this story too. And I remember even in college as well, we were going to like a speed networking
Mhm.
event where it's essentially like a job fair where these employers were interviewing us at like we were sophomores or juniors at the time, and they would give us 15 to 30 seconds to basically talk to this individual. I think it was maybe 30 or 60 seconds. It wasn't that long. And we would talk to the individuals, and then they would say, time is up. And then you would go to the next one and you would just rotate. And I remember looking around me, and my friends were so nervous. They were just like, man, like, I do not want to go. They were sweating, and they were just like, they're like, Tyler, you look so happy and you like look so excited to go. And one of the things I would tell people is just like, you know, dude, why are you so nervous? And they're like, hey, we get to talk to strangers. I don't know what's going to happen. And I would tell them, it's like, dude, we get to meet new people. We get to have conversations. And for the exact reasons they hated it, I absolutely loved it. But at the end of the day, connection, networking is about building relationships.
Yes.
And when you're first starting off and you really don't know, maybe you don't know who you want to become or what you want to do, you really want to put yourself out there and connect with outside of people outside your industry and outside of your expertise, and really build those conversations. And one of the things that I wanted to do at an early age too is like I love business. I also love talking with people. I love numbers. So one of the things that I was initially going to do was become an accountant. And
Wow.
so when I would network and build relationships with people, I would go to accountants, and this is a really great secret to success to really just shorten the timeline. Is whatever you want to do, go find the people that are actually doing it,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, okay, well let's talk to someone who's been an accountant for 20 or 30 years, and every single time, I kid you not, Maher, is every accountant I talked to, they were either at a point in their life where they were excited to retire and take the money that they made and get out of it, or they were just, not that enthusiastic or excited about accounting. And then I read some statistics online that it's one of the highest suicide rates. And, people that are going to be accountants, if you're passionate about that, that is something to lean into.
Yeah.
But, everyone that I talked to, it was just like not something to that I didn't want to end up in that same
Yeah.
situation, right?
Yeah.
But having those simple conversations, having those, putting myself out there to network and ask the questions, to stay curious, that allowed me to really save my career and focus on the things that I was passionate about. Another great exercise for networking, if someone is nervous, they want to build relationships, how can someone network with someone? And I remember I went to this event in LA, and it was a book signing for this author. And I remember everywhere I went, I would just ask questions like, "Hey, where are you from? What do you like to do?
Yeah.
What do you currently do? What are you focusing on?" And just continuing to ask questions, the Socratic method. And what's funny with that, Mayor, is that the more questions you ask, the more people will speak. And
Yes.
people love speaking about
About themselves.
themselves,
Yeah.
right? And I even remember having this conversation with this one individual, and we probably spoke for, I was asking him questions. He was probably speaking for 10 to 15 minutes. And then it was just like, you know what, Tyler, I don't know what it is, but I really like you. You have great energy and I really like you. And I just remember leaving that conversation. It's like, I barely even said a word myself. All I did was ask questions. But when we left that interaction, he just had such a positive influence from our interaction that he's like, man, I really like you. And It's because how many times do people actually ask questions and are curious to want to learn more about you and actually are standing there to listen to what it is that you have to say? And if you think about it in your own life, sometimes they don't even get that at home. Maybe they don't even get that from their family members. Maybe they don't get that from anyone. But if they get to meet someone that is curious and hungry to learn, asking those questions is going to allow you to stay curious and develop bonds and for
Yeah.
allow you to learn and also build relationships. And then the last thing I will say with this too, with networking, you want to get around successful people
Yes.
because when someone is, looking for an opportunity and they're young or even if they're older, whatever the case may be, being in a position where you can learn from someone and also get paid as a position,
Yeah.
that's a very great place to be. So again, go into those directions of where you want to learn. And I remember there was this entrepreneur that came spoke at my school back in high school,
Yeah.
and I didn't really even know what the heck he did. But I know he ran his own business and I knew that he was successful. He had like 35 employees and things like that. And so before he even really said what he did, I was already sold on the fact that, like, hey, I want to own my business one day. And this is someone that I want to learn from so I can shorten the learning curve as well. So I remember, after he spoke to the class, he ended up owning a commercial tent company. So
Mm.
think of huge graduation tents. They would do private events, they would do graduation events. But it was basically manual labor, and they would set it up all across Ohio, where I'm from originally. And I remember, again, I went up to him, asked him questions. Hey, what got you into that? Did you always know you wanted to start a tanning company? Um, are you looking for more? Like, are there any opportunities to work for you at your organization and at your company? Again, just asking specific questions, staying curious. And at the time, that was the first job that I ever received,
Nice.
just because I asked questions, just because I spoke to that individual after class, and no one was really in that situation asking the questions, taking the time to get to learn more, build the relationship. But I saw it as an opportunity to learn and understand the business. And any opportunity that you're into, Maher,
Yes.
you want to treat it as if it's your own.
Yeah.
So every opportunity that I was in, I wanted to steward it as if it was my own business,
Yeah.
right? Because when I have my own business, I want to bring people in, team members that take care of the business as much as I do. And so for me to expect that out of my team members, I needed to show up as a great team member as well. So this is a great opportunity to find an organization, find people that are where you want to be, that have the success that you want to be. Ask how you can solve problems, add value in their life, see if there's any opportunities that you could help and serve them. And nine times out of the 10, most people, they're going to,
Yes.
if they have a successful business, there's always things to do within the business,
Yeah.
right? So that's what's going to make you stand out, even though you may not, at the time, I didn't even have credentials. I didn't know anything about tenting or anything
Yeah.
like that. I didn't even have a job at that point. I actually got declined for job applications because they would ask me, hey, what's your work experience? And I would say, hey, well, this would be my first job. And they would be like, okay, well, we can't hire you because you have no job experience. And so I'm like, man,
God.
how the heck am I ever going to get over this
Yeah.
hump? And
Yeah.
it's through networking, it's
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
relationship, it's through asking questions and being willing to serve and steward the business as your own. That's what's going to put you in a great place to succeed.
Thank you for that in-depth and detailed tips. I tell people I'm helping. Whenever you go to an event, maybe identify three people you want to meet and follow up with them. I think that it's follow up is important after the event on LinkedIn or if they're email, and ask them curiosity questions about them, not about you, and listen. And relationship, as you mentioned, it takes time. And after you build trust and curiosity and time, then you can ask something in favor. But I feel that a lot of people, they want a favor now and not build in the relationship. So that's why I teach them it cannot be like that. So again, for the audience,
Mm.
if you have any other tips, leave them below and tune in next time for my final question with Tyler.